Well, hey there kids, and welcome to the brand newest installment of FAQ, the greatest FAQ series that you've ever seen on my channel, or your money back. Money back guarantee available with proof of purchase. Other terms and conditions may apply. On today's video, we're going to talk about how to improve your hammer-ons and pull-offs, my dream guitar, and much more. But first things first, let's stop in at Uncle Ben's boombox so I can tell you what I've been jamming out to lately. This week, I've really just been listening to one song on endless repeat, and that's Fallen Torches, the new single released by Mastodon. So this song was recorded in 2018, but it's going to be released on an upcoming compilation album that Mastodon is doing that features a bunch of other unreleased tunes and rarities. Like several other of my favorite Mastodon tunes like Blood and Thunder and Aqua Dementia, this song features a special guest vocal spot by Scott Kelly, famed astronaut, no, singer of Neurosis. Yes, I really like the vibe that the tune has. It's got elements of their more recent records combined with some of the classic sound from records like Blood Mountain and Crack the Sky. I'm actually kind of thinking about trying to transcribe it and do a lesson on it for you guys soon. So if you think that sounds like a good idea, let me know in the comments section below. And I'll tell you the other thing I've been listening to a lot of lately. It's that brand new song by that Ben Eller guy, Migration 2. And I'll tell you who else has been rocking out to it. All the coolest kids on the internet that support my YouTube channel over at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. That's right, you're not just getting access to a ton of bonus guitar lessons, backing tracks, and downloadable tabs, you're also getting a wealth of my original tunes available to you at your disposal that you can't hear anywhere else. Migration 2 is a Jim Jam Jubilee that I recorded using my new Dunable Cyclops guitar. It's in drop C tuning, it's got a really spacey, sludgy vibe, and I gave you a little sneak peek of it in the intro of this video. So if you want to check out the rest of the tune and gain access to all the other cool bonus stuff for even just $1 a month, be sure to check out patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Thanks. Okay, first question today comes from Edward Salazar, who is most definitely a member of Slytherin House. He asks, what can I do to improve my hammer-ons and pull-offs? Good question. So without seeing or hearing your individual legato, it's kind of hard to make a real complete assessment of what you need to work on. But I will tell you a few of the things that I typically see other players struggle with. When it comes to hammer-ons, you really need to make sure that you're using just the right amount of pressure to sound out that next note. Oftentimes with beginners, I see them strike a note really hard, and then their finger comes in to do the hammer-on kind of slowly like that, and all that does is mute the note out and kill the vibration of the string. That finger's got to come in hard and fast, just the way your dad likes it. I want you to kind of think about there being, maybe like a mosquito on the fretboard of the guitar or something like that you're really trying to smush, you know what I mean? The velocity's got to be there, the quickness has got to be there, and the pressure has got to be there to get the job done. Another good visual you can use to make this more clear to yourself is to imagine that you're trying to make your finger go through the fretboard of the guitar. That finger through the neck concept I was just talking about should get you hammering on like a son of a gun in no time. Now, pull-offs can be even trickier because there's a lot that can go wrong with them. Finding the right velocity to do your pull-offs with is really, really vital here, because if you do it too softly, the second note sounds really quiet, and if you do it too hard, you kind of bend the string and it sounds out of tune. I mean, considering that what a pull-off is essentially a left-hand pluck, try to think about it the same way that you do your right hand plucks here if you were doing, fingerstyle guitar. You don't have to really like bend up on the string in order for it to release like that, right? It can be a gentle thing that doesn't really disturb the string too much and still gets plenty of velocity without actually bending the string and making it go out of tune. Try to apply that same mindset over here to your left hand. Again, I don't have to yank that string really down far like that in order to make that pull-off happen. I can basically be fretting the note and then just kind of rip this finger off softly, without disturbing the string too much. It's also really important to make sure that the lower finger, in this case my first finger, the note I'm pulling off to, doesn't get that sympathetic movement where it also wants to do the pull-off motion, because then you're going to be sounding really, really out of tune. So it's important to make sure that you can keep the lower fingers stock still as you do the pull-off. So after you got those velocities worked out, the most important thing to work on next is also the most important element of comedy. timing. So like for example, in my own playing, I remember one of the first difficult, legato licks that I ever learned is that first lick in Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Scandard. Whenever I would play it, it sounded like this. Because I was just doing the hammer-ons and pull-offs as fast as I could get them, not thinking about trying to keep a rhythmic flow to it like that as I would if I was picking all those notes. And that's something that I found to be really common with guitar players. As long as this hand is in charge of the groove, everything is okay, but the minute you let the fretting hand take over, stuff gets pretty squirrely. So what I recommend doing is simply taking the same lick, like that one right there, and A-Bing it. Play it with your metronome, picking every single note, and then the next time around, let the left hand take over and do the legato thing. Sounds something like this. Whenever you take a legato lick like that and try picking every note instead, it really trains this hand as to how fast or how slow it really needs to go. And I really recommend recording yourself as you do that too, even if it's just on your cell phone or something like that. That way you can learn your own tendencies with your legato, whether you tend to rush and get ahead of the beat or you tend to drag and get behind the beat. Whenever you record yourself and listen back, you can listen with your full attention span and figure out what makes your own playing tick and start making it better. And one more thing on the subject of building up groove in this hand, this is also where I recommend practicing all of your, just standard chromatic exercises and stuff. All legato like that using a metronome. It is painfully, brutally hard, but if you want to hear the benefits of how amazing it sounds when you get your legato sounding super groovy and tasty, I recommend checking out as much Tom Quayle stuff as you can. I think Tom has like the best developed legato of any player that's ever lived, seriously. And I mean, heck, he's got like a bunch of amazing courses and stuff that you can get on his website and stuff too. So yeah, just Google Tom Quayle legato lessons or something like that. I'm sure you'll find it and you'll learn way more from it than you did from this video. Next question here comes from my buddy John Latour, and he asks, what would a Ben Eller signature guitar look like? Personally, I'd be more interested to find out what it smells like, but we'll get to that another time. Seeing as this Suhr Modern Satin that I hold in my hands right now is basically my favorite guitar that I've ever played, I think I would use this as kind of a starting point for building a signature model. Maybe it's because it's the body style that I've played the longest, but I've always preferred, double cutaway super strat guitars like the Suhr Modern or an Ibanez RG. And I really like the rounded neck heel that it's got here on the back that lets me hit those high notes more better. This guitar has a mahogany body and bolt-on mahogany neck, which I found is a combination that I really like for kind of splitting the difference of, the fatness and warmth of a Les Paul type guitar with the snap and clarity of a Fender style guitar. I love that this guitar has a Goto 510 2-point tremolo on it. It's fantastic. I think if I had a signature model, I'd actually go for just a good old string through hardtail bridge. When I'm riding, I like to use different tunings and go back and forth between drop and standard and half step and stuff like that. So having a hardtail definitely makes that a little bit faster and easier. I think I would stick with this pickup configuration here of 2 hamburgers with a hot dog in between them. That's something that us in the business call the Grill Master set. And I really like that for the versatility and different tones you can get attached to a good old 5-way switch. This guitar came with 24 super big stainless steel frets, and that's exactly how I'd want to keep it. Same goes for the locking tuners up here. I just think every guitar should have locking tuners, so I'd keep those too. I think some of the only things that I would tweak about this design would be to move the volume and tone controls a little further to the edge of the body, kind of like what you saw on like the John Petrucci signature guitars. And honestly, just for the comfort and to have something a little bit different, rather than doing the traditional forearm kind of cutaway like most Strat style guitars have, which is great, I really love that forearm scoop that we saw on the early Ernie Ball Petrucci guitars. I might as well rip that off too while I'm at it. It's just like it put my wrist exactly where it wanted to be near the bridge. I like that design. I think it's really comfortable. It doesn't really look as cool as this, but it's worth it. I'm not really into super fancy, ornate inlays. I would rather have something that's just simple and functional. Dots are fine, offset dots are cool, and I also like the little ring kind of circle inlays that Suhr and a couple other companies do. And of course, I would like to see it offered in about 80 bajillion different finish options. That way you always have something to go with whatever outfit you're wearing that day. And I'd like to see some other little variants thrown around too, like maybe one year it has a pick guard and the next year it doesn't. A 7-string version, or like a super small run of swirls, you know, that I did myself or something. That'd be pretty neat too. So yeah, considering I am my Uncle Bennyist whenever I'm playing a, you know, mahogany super strat guitar, I think I would start there and just make a few little tweaks to make it my own. Last question here comes from Ryan Waller, who says that his home recordings always turn out sounding kind of lo-fi. He's looking for a way to improve that. So thankfully, just like every other topic that anyone could ever try to learn about, there is a ton of free information for you to check out right here on YouTube. Channels like Rick Beato's have a ton of information for you to check out that you can use to improve the sound of your home recordings. But as for myself, I just don't. The way that I see it, every hour that I spend trying to make, you know, a kick drum sound better or whatever, is an hour that I'm not spending playing guitar, writing songs, making videos, or whatever. Eventually, I do want to build up the library of gear and knowledge that I need to make all my home recordings sound incredible, but as of now, I usually outsource everything that I'm working on to my good buddy, Eric Hill at Blue Room Recording Studio. I typically just send that guy my guitar and bass tracks, my MIDI drum tracks and stuff that I've programmed, and he sends them back to me sounding 10 times better than what I had. And I've heard tell that if you throw dollar papers at him, he can do that for you too. So if you got a recording project that you're trying to make sound more better, be sure to drop this guy right here an email. This guy right down here on the screen. This guy. Drop him email and papers of money. So there you go, guys, another FAQ installment down the tubes. Thanks everybody for watching and for submitting the great questions. Anything that you want to see answered on a future FAQ, be sure to leave that in the comments section below. Although I must admit, I am partial to questions that come from my supporters over on patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars, where you can join up for just $1 a month, soak up all kinds of bonus lessons, backing tracks, my own personal music library, and so much more. Thanks again for tuning in. You guys have been fantastic. I've been Ben Eller, and together we've been simply magical. Now get away from the computer and go play some guitar. Less clicking, more picking.